You're listening to SM Media, the home of exclusive West of Scotland Football League content. Hi folks, and welcome to episode 1 of our West of Scotland Football League Premier Division 2022-2023 season preview on SM Media. I'm Scott McPike. It's an absolute pleasure as always to be your host. We are going to start this show by taking a look at the following 4 clubs: Darvel, Cumnock Juniors, Largs Thistle and Kirkintilloch Rob Roy. For the champions Darvel, we spoke to their captain Daryll Meggatt about their thoughts for the season ahead as they look to retain their title. Cumnock Juniors' Brian McGinty, as he looks to refresh his squad over the summer in a quest to try and move up the table. Largs Thistle manager Stuart Davidson about their ambitions for the season and their hopes for going forward. And following a great season last season, we speak to Kirkintilloch Rob Roy manager Stewart Maxwell about the season ahead and their hopes and aspirations. Let's get straight into it. Let's start by talking to Daryll Meggatt from Darvel. So it's an absolute pleasure to be joined by the Darvel captain, Daryll Meggatt. Daryll, welcome to the show again. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you.
No worries. How are we?
Aye, all good, mate. Aye, not too bad. Just back from my honeymoon, so aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Obviously, last season was, you can look at it two ways. Obviously, winning the league was a big ambition for the club. How pleased were you to just get the League One for the fans, the players, and obviously the staff as well?
Aye, it was great. Obviously, probably a lot of people written us off for the amount of kind of backlog of games we had, but listen, that's what you've got squads and the depth in the squad to get through the kind of games. But no, it's great to win the league. Obviously, unfortunately, we didn't progress where we wanted to go. But listen, we're getting a crack at it this year, and hopefully we just go that one step further again.
Yeah, and obviously the Lowland League playoff, it came down to yourselves against Trinent, and Trinent, I think it's fair to say Trinent were just a better team on the day.
Yeah, aye. Well, on the day, obviously, I wasn't there. I had my stag do, unfortunately, just the way the fixtures had fallen in. But
yeah,
listen, it's one of the ones of the better on the day. You just need to hold your hands up and take it in the chin and kind of move on. You can't do much about it. But like you says, it was great to win the league, and obviously Talbot's done it for many years and kind of strolled that league to a certain extent year in, year out. So to kind of knock game off the top as well, it's good. It gives them a wee challenge, and I'm pretty sure they'll take that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously we'll touch on the quick turnaround. It's been no long since the last game of the season. How's the kind of players found it getting back so quick and getting kind of set up for the new season?
It's been hard. Obviously, you need to kind of try and be a wee bit lenient as well with boys maybe away in pre-season stuff like that and holiday, because like you say, it was a quick turnaround. But to be fair, a lot of the boys probably don't need a lot of hard work, because like you say, it's only been the end of May was our last game, and I think we were back in middle of June. So it's not really a lot of time off, and I don't think you would lose much fitness through that kind of wee period. But probably modern day now, people do their own thing anyway and keep naturally fit away from football. So everybody's kind of at a good standard, so we should be fine.
Yeah, absolutely as well. And one thing that's obviously caught my eye was how many of the kind of players for last season have stayed on. Like how good's that togetherness in that team that you are obviously keen to stick together and go for this promotion again?
It's great. As any team, I think, usually when you've got any squad, you would like to keep probably 90% of your squad. Sometimes, obviously, maybe people leave to go elsewhere, or you maybe want to strengthen the squad, and bring other people in. But no, like it is, any manager would love to keep the current squad season after season. So, but it's great to have kind of the core of the group still here, because we all know what the league's about, and it'll be a wee bit tougher this year as well, because I think it's obviously less teams, and the calibre of teams is probably a wee bit better than it was last year. That's no disrespect to some of the other teams, but obviously you'll see this year that every week will probably be a tough day.
Yeah, absolutely as well. And obviously, so a few players been brought in. We'll mention them, obviously. Ross Meakin, Chris McGowan and Craig Truesdale. Safe to say the kind of defences have been the priority this season. Is that fair to say?
Aye. I think sometimes you need to try and strengthen for the back and work your way forward. that's the way probably Regatta will be looking as well. But we're strengthened up the top throughout the season. Obviously, we brought in wee Jinky, and Craig Moore's obviously like a new player as well, and William Robertson's back as well in the centre of the park. So that's potentially 2 new players you could look at it that way, because they missed so much of the season last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously, like you say, you're bringing in the players that you've just mentioned there. It's good additions to the squad.
The competitiveness of the league, something we've spoke about with everybody. Like, obviously, you are keen to defend your title. How hard's that going to be with so many good teams this season?
That'll be tough. Even last year, I think obviously there was a big hype about Darvel and whatever else. Everybody you can maybe say raised their game against us and whatever else. But listen, you need to take that as it comes. That's what's going to happen. It'd be the same as well. If we were playing against somebody that was spending a bit, like people say, you're spending money and whatever else and being ambitious, then people want to knock you off the top. And it's a different pressure now that you're defending it and not chasing it.
Yeah, absolutely as well. And pre-season, was obviously you've been away, but like, how good's it been to get for the players to get some game time and kind of go into some good places as well, like Jeanfield and Lithgow, I think, have played?
Aye, we've got Jeanfield this Saturday.
Right, okay.
They played in Lithgow and played Stenhousemuir as well.
Yeah.
So it was just getting an idea of maybe Stenhousemuir obviously up a couple of leagues and gives you a good kind of idea of where the players are at. But no, pre-season, I'd say pre-season games, you're kind of, it's just trying to build the fitness up. Maybe your last 2 pre-season games, you'd probably be looking to try and get your starting 11 playing together and getting an idea for kicking the season off. But like, it's any pre-season players hate running. They'd rather games probably all through pre-season. So, but no, it's good to get the game started. So, looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And so, what's the kind of overall target? Obviously, you're back in the Junior Cup. You've got the Scottish Cup again, the kind of senior one. Like, what's the overall target? Win the league and just get promotion plus some good cup runs.
I would say any we enter, we want to win. Of course, the same as any other team. But just need to take a game at a time. And like I say, it's going to be tough week in, week out. You're not going to get any easy games or home or away. People are going to want to come down to our ground and turn us over. And same as well when we go away, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
But probably the main objective you'll be looking at is winning the league and getting that promotion that we missed out on last year. And then cup games, obviously, you like a good cup run. So
yeah. Do you think obviously as well, because of the disappointment of last season, it's kind of fueled a fire in a lot of players, like they're just desperate to get over that next hurdle?
Possibly. A lot of people might look at it as a failure as well, that we didn't get promoted, even though you've won the league. But you've got to take the positive of winning the league and just missed out in that last hurdle. So, we'll, like you say, there'll be a wee bit of fire in the belly to go that kind of step further this season.
Brilliant. Well, we're wishing you all the best for the season ahead, Daryll. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So we're delighted to be joined by the Cumnock manager, Brian McGinty. Brian, welcome to the show. It's an absolute pleasure to be on.
Thanks very much, Scott. Thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. We will touch on, obviously, last season. Obviously, you took the job in the kind of later stages of last season, but staying up was a priority. How did you find the kind of first few months of your time at Cumnock?
Well, I think even when I was watching games, when I was out of the management side of it, I think watching games, it was such a tough season for everybody last year, and probably take out the maybe top five or six teams.
Yeah.
I think everybody else was just making sure they were trying to stay up. I think when you look at the 7 going down, which ultimately I wasn't involved in the time it got restructured, but I just think it was an incredible decision to get 7 going down in the one season, and I feel sorry for teams like say a good mate of mine, Lovers at the Benz, had a great season and get down with, I think it was 52 points he ended up getting down with, and I think when we took over, I think we were 1 point above that relegation zone, that bottom 7, because I don't think you wanted to be sitting in the 7th spot if in case what happened with the playoffs happens. So no, from that point of view, it was really about, when we had a chat with the guys at the club, it was really about making sure we stayed up, and that was the be all and end all, regardless of whether it was by 1 point or ultimately, as we managed to do, by a good number of points, and ultimately we were really comfortable in the end. But no, it was a really tough season. So the main thing is back to a bit of normality this year, where you obviously with the 3 going down, give or take a couple of scenarios that could occur, but no, it'll be a more realistic season this year, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll touch a bit on your kind of transfer activity. There's been a lot of incomings and outgoings. Just talk a wee bit about who you've kind of brought in so far. One of the signings I want to touch on was Mark McLennan for Irvine Meadow. I think that's a great piece of business to get him in.
Yeah, well, listen, we're delighted with all the guys we've got in it. It was really, we want guys we trust. I think as a manager, it's a huge thing to have players that you trust. And I mean, if you can touch on Marky in a bit, but you look at the boys we've brought in, Jamie Bartley. Although I don't know Jamie personally, I've done enough research on him.
Yeah.
He's worked with Adam Strain, our goalkeeping coach, before. Adam speaks really highly of him. So they've got that relationship there. Really impressed with Jamie since he come in. And the other 4 guys that we've brought in so far are all guys that either worked with Irvine Meadow or they'd moved on to other clubs and we brought them from. We had them at Irvine Meadow, so you get obviously Jared, Brendan, Boydie and Marky, obviously. And Marky, I just think is a professional. And all 4 of the guys are this way, but Marky in particular, he was the Meda captain. He was a captain for a reason because he leads by example. He's an outstanding professional, outstanding individual, and a very good player to boot. And we just felt that when we came in last year, we felt, and it's not a slight to anybody that was there before us, it's just what we found. The standards that we expect of a team in this level of football, and the mentality just wasn't there. And we gradually set about sort of changing that with the additions we had last year in terms of sort of Ryan and Andy coming in, and guys like that. But I think going forward, we needed to really sort of set the bar with the people we brought in. And I think that the guys have done exactly what I thought they'd do. They've come in, they've hit the ground running in terms of the way they look after themselves, the way they prepare for games, the way they play, their approach to winning games, and just a good standard of boys and good mentality. But the trust thing is huge for us. I think we're now looking at a squad, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 that we'll maybe look to add or are in and around it at the moment. We've got a group that we worked with last year, with the boys that we've kept. So I think that was about 11, 12 or 13 we kept. We've brought in 5 guys, again, with the exception of Jamie, who's worked with Adam. The whole 16, 17 players, a lot of them we've worked with before.
Yeah.
There's not that filling in period, there's not that settling in period where they know what we expect and we know what they can give us. And I think that's huge for us going forward.
Yeah. How's pre-season been so far? How good's it been to get some games under your belt?
It's been fine for me. I don't know about the boys. Pre-season's been... No, we tend to work really hard, as everybody does, but we tend to put a real focus on the sort of the longer running, if you like, in terms of the first couple of weeks before sort of moving on to the sharper stuff, just to give us that base for pre-season. It's something that's served us well, the sessions we do with previous clubs. And no, I think it's been decent weather most of the pre-season, which sometimes helps, sometimes doesn't. But no, the weather's been decent, so there's no. Well, we started on the grass just to save the legs and the joints. And we've moved on to back onto our training, the pitch at the Astro to get the sharper stuff done and what have you. So, no, look, I think the guys are delighted to get the game started, and we've had a decent run with the exception of 1 or 2 wee niggles here and there. And one boy coming back to a long-term injury that's trying to get back with us. But with the exception of a couple of niggles, we've been pretty pleased, and we're pretty pleased with where we're at. We've played 4 games. The first game was Stornwood. Managed to win that. We had a good game there. We had a good game down at Ardrossan with Gavin Gowser's team. Really good game. Then with the tournament at the weekend, which again, just from a fitness point of view, the 2 games and that heat over the 2 days, you think you've got enough players to do the 2 days, and then all of a sudden you get a wee niggle here and a wee niggle there, and maybe a boy can't make it or whatever. And all of a sudden we went to, I think, to making about 8 changes on the Sunday to only making 3. Yeah. So no, that'll be a lighter session last night, just to let the boys recover. A game against O'Brien Thursday. We're away to Glenrothes on Saturday, and then it's really all systems go for the Darvel game Tuesday, Thursday next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, one thing we've touched on is the competitiveness of the league. So, what's your kind of overall targets for this season? Where do you see Cumnock kind of at the end of this season?
I think the way myself and H work, and the way I've always worked, is you must do better than last season. Now, ultimately, we weren't there for the whole season, but the reality is we finished 7th, which I think credit to the guys and the squad we had, and even the guys that have moved on, they all contributed in some way to getting us to where we got to. I think when we went in, as I say, there was a real threat of relegation, and for a club like Cumnock, they shouldn't be in that situation. We've got a decent budget. There's people get carried away with talking about budgets and scared to say they've got a decent budget or not. Yeah. We've got a decent budget, certainly not the top 3 in the league, but budgets are what they are. It's what you've got, and you need to use it, whether it's a good budget, a poor budget, or a medium-sized budget. So we've got a decent budget for a club the size of Cumnock, the setup, the infrastructure. We shouldn't be worrying about getting relegated each season. So I think from our point of view, we managed to finish 7th last year, which from where we took over, I don't think the guys could have done anymore. I think the top 6 were probably away and gone by the time we come in. So credit to all the guys that were there that we managed to go in the run. I think probably, I know there was a few teams had decent ones at the end of last season to stay up. But I think overall, if you take out Talbot and Darvel, I don't think anybody would. I might be wrong, and somebody will correct me if I have. I've not looked at the exact stats, but I'm pretty sure we were very close to being the sort of maybe over the second half of that season, one of the form teams. If you take out Talbot and Darvel, I would be astonished if somebody had a better record than us, to be honest. But that's last season, and one of the things we identified from the into Cumnock was, for some reason, they seem to have slow starts to seasons, and this is not about the previous manager, it's just about it. For as long as I can remember, the last 6-7 years, they seem to have really poor starts to seasons. Then all of a sudden, I don't know where the penny drops or whether they just think, well, we can't get relegated. They seem to finish seasons off strongly. Yeah. But the next season just goes the same way. And it's about making sure the mentality is right. That we did have a good second half of the season, but that's all it was, and it's gone now. We need to focus, and that'll be the first target, to finish higher than we did last year, which is higher than 7th. Or put more points in the board in terms of average points, average goals, etc. And I think that's going to be a target. There's no point sitting here going, well, we just want to stay up again. That's not good enough. Not good enough for the club. It's not good enough for the squad of players we've got, and for myself and H and Adam involved in the coaching side. It's not where we want to be. So no, it's about building something. We've got, as I say, we've got the infrastructure there. We've got a decent budget, a great committee behind us, a good squad of players now that we're happy with everybody we've got, and there's no excuses next season. Yeah. I know that's putting my head in the block, but there is no excuses. We're happy with what we've got. We always want to improve, but I think that the first target needs to be finishing better than we did last year.
Yeah, well, we're wishing you all the best for the season ahead, Brian. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
No worries. Thanks very much, Scott. All the best.
So it's a pleasure as always to be joined by the Largs manager, Stuart Davidson. Stuart, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure as always to have you on.
Aye, thanks for having us, Scott.
Absolute pleasure. How are we?
Aye, all right. Looking forward to the season starting. Obviously, pre-season, it's hard work getting the games in and that as well, but you can't beat the real stuff when it starts.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll touch obviously on last season. It was obviously staying up was a priority for so many teams, but when you secured safety, how good was that to have that kind of finalised and your safety for this season?
Aye, listen, it's great. It's no what I set out for in the season, you know what I mean, to survive a relegation battle. But just the way the league went last year, I think it was very cutthroat. The amount of teams it was going down, and the start we had as well. We had a really bad start with so many games at the start of the season, and you're in about 4 weeks or something. You're already thinking we're done there. We need to get the finger out. So come the end of the season, it was a relief, and it was good to see how far the team had come on and how much fight they put into it to stay in the league. Because at one point we looked as if we were doing. A lot of people had us done. And the players, they showed some fight and a lot of character to stay in the league. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was a tremendous end to the season that obviously secured safety. But one of the kind of big players that was Will Sewell. Obviously, he secured his move to Stenhousemuir. Like, for a personal point of view, how happy are you for him to get a move like that? I'm delighted for him. Delighted because I think he's got the ability. He's still at a young age as well, where he can go even further. He's got a good attitude. Great attributes, so listen, I'm delighted for Will. And listen, see last season, I don't think that's what Will was setting out for. With scoring the goals and the performances, I don't even think he was thinking too much about that. He just loves playing football and loves scoring goals. So obviously these opportunities come up, and he's took one of them. So no, I'm delighted for him.
Yeah, absolutely. But obviously going into the season ahead, is it going to be difficult to replace goals?
Aye, listen. No many strikers in this league would score 42 goals. I can't remember who has.
It's new to me as well.
So of course it's going to be difficult to replace. But that's the thing. Obviously, he scored a lot of goals and was great for the team. But I thought that towards the end, the full team were brilliant. A lot of other people were chucking in with goals as well, keeping clean sheets. So obviously we need people to put the ball in the net, but I'm still happy with what we've got and what we've brought in.
Yeah, absolutely as well. Obviously, it's been a quick turnaround for last season. Like I think there's only been 2 months for the end of last season to the beginning of this one. How you found that? Has it been hard to kind of recruit players? Has it been quite like longer than you thought it would be to?
Listen, it's always the same. At Largs, we kind of feels as if we're getting somewhere, building a team, and then players leave, and we've got to get more in. And it's I know how it is down there. But listen, I'm happy what we've got in. We still maybe need another 1 or 2 to strengthen the squad. But I'm happy what we've got. So it's one of these things. People come and go, so we just need to deal with it.
Brilliant. The transfer activity, obviously, who you kind of brought in so far? I know the Alan Frizzle's come in. Like, who else has kind of joined him?
Aye, so we brought in the goalkeeper Jamie Walker, who was at Stranraer and was out on loan a couple of teams as well. He's young, got really good potential, so he'll come in with Jamie McGowan and fight it out, which we need competition there, so that's good. We've signed Ryan McCreef for Yoker, done really well with him last season. He's had a bit of experience in our league as well, but I've been very impressed with him pre-season. And we've also brought in David McGrath for Yoker, he's fitted in well, scored a couple of goals pre-season, very hard worker, my type of player, really like him. And up top we've brought in, as you say, Frizz, and brought in Scott Lewis and Liam Coogans as well. So again, all players with good ability, good work rate, and it's just about bedding them in and fitting them into the team now as well. They've come in, they've got on well with the boys, they've worked hard, but I think as a team over pre-season, I've noticed we've still got a bit today to gel together. What
about the games in pre-season so far? Have they been good runs out for the team?
Aye, with the Johnston Borough tournament to start with, we'd played Maryhill in the first game and Glenville the second, scored 5 goals each game. Was good. All the new players got a goal. It was good for their confidence, and it was minutes in the legs. You know what I mean, over 2 days, so that was good. And then we played Hurlford on a Wednesday, really competitive, friendly. That was really enjoyed that. Great for the players. Hurlford, really good team, experienced, hard working. So that was good. And then Maybole as well was a tight game. They gave us a good game down at Largs, and we drew 0-0 at Neilston the other day. So it's been good games, and everybody's been getting plenty of time. And now it's the time where you're starting to look at your team for next Saturday for the league starting, and it's up to people to impress and show that they should be playing in that game.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing we've spoke about with everybody is just how competitive this league is, and we saw that last season with how tight it was, kind of for the survival places, and obviously the 3 teams coming up. It looks a stacked league, doesn't it?
Aye, definitely. It's always a hard league. I know, obviously, Atherley, Cambus Lang, and who's the other one? Petershill. They've all won their groups and come up. Usually, you're getting people coming up maybe 3rd and 4th and stuff, but they've all won it, so they're all good teams. And to add to the teams that's in the league, it's going to be very, very competitive as usual. But it's important to get off to a good start. That's what we didn't do last year, so we need to try and get a good start this year.
And the overall aspirations for the season, what are they, plain and simple? What's the target for Largs this year?
To get a better start than last year. That's I don't look too much further ahead. Don't want to be in a relegation battle. Want to get as high up the league as we can, but it all comes down to how we start the league, because we don't want to be chasing again.
Alan, it's been an absolute pleasure, and best of luck for the season ahead.
Cheers, Scott. All the best, mate.
So we're delighted to be joined by the Rob Roy manager, Stewart Maxwell. Stewart, welcome to the season preview. It's a pleasure as always to be on.
Hi, Scott. Aye, great. Thanks, mate. How are you?
Not bad, yourself?
Aye, good. Thanks.
Brilliant. Well, obviously last season, a 9th place finish probably defied your expectations for the season. You must have been delighted to obviously secure survival in a tough league and kind of build for last season.
Aye, well, I think reverse back to last year, I think when obviously a lot of the predictors were coming out, I think everybody had Rob Roy the bottom 7, and listen, I'm quite realistic, rightly so, but I had a poor start, and people were probably in the bottom 2 at that point after losing our first 4 games, but I started to see the signs sort of early autumn. We made a couple of key signings and got a few players back from injury and etc. And you could start to see the improvements. We had like fits and busts between then and the new year, and then had a decent start to the new year, and then sort of kicked on. But you could see the improvement was coming, and then towards the end of the season, I think we're probably one of the form sides in the league and showed some really good performances. And fair play to them, because, like I say, players are like managers and everything else, supporters. They're always seen relegation favourites and all that, so they sort of answered their critics very well, I think, and proved that there's a lot of good young players in that squad that will benefit of playing in 50 plus games last year, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously this season it's going to be a tough league, as we've said. The league is pretty stacked from top to bottom. Would you not agree?
Oh, listen. The only difference is it's as tough as last year. The only slight difference is it's 7 don't get down. But I mean, we're under no illusions. Stay at the bottom 3. I think is key again, and hopefully maybe next year we can maybe get a bit of stability behind the scenes, and then we can kick on again, hopefully.
Yeah, obviously transfer activity. It's been a busy summer, both in and out. Obviously, Craig Truesdale's away to Darvel, but you've brought in some good players like Callum McNair, Dylan Young. It's been a busy summer.
I sort of trend. That's my sort of trend. I sort of overload it a wee bit because I've not got the biggest budget. I think I've got to sort of score the teams that are been about. There was a lot of good teams get relegated. A lot of good players went down with teams, and obviously we picked up I think 4 or 5 for teams that were below us. Yeah. And like you said, you mentioned a few there, all good players, and had good spells last year. So I think for a team in Rob Roy's sort of situation and budget, to lose one player that we probably wanted to keep, but the other ones went out the door, it was sort of amicable, wasn't really working out. And I think we've brought in some decent quality. But again, the demands that come with Rob Roy, that will take a wee bit of time to settle, get into the system of things and how we play, and it's a new club. So hopefully they all can come in and prove how good the players were for other clubs last year and do well for Rob Roy.
So obviously been a quick turnaround as well with how kind of late the season finished last year and how early this season started. How's kind of pre-season been like so far?
It's been a difficult one because we were one of the late finishers. So we probably looking at, if you sort of look at the average squad, we were probably back 2 weeks after everybody else. We were 3 weeks into it, we've had 2 games, and boys have come back in really good shape, which, to be fair, obviously not knowing the new players, but obviously I've had a good conversation with it. I expected that anyway. That was a given for me. The 2 games we've played, I want to be hypercritical. We've probably created 20 good chances in 2 games, and probably not, our shooting boots haven't been quite on yet, our final decision, but I put that down to a bit of rustiness in the gameplay. But we've certainly looked fit and hungry, and we've got good numbers in the squad, but it's still early doors. But it's like anything else, you set the expectations high, and the players have set their own expectations high as well. So like I say, our next game's tonight, and probably get to game 4 or 5, and such a quick turnaround now that before you know it, after next week or so, we're into game. So it's so quick for every team. So it's difficult, but it's just the nature of the way it is, the way it's been for the last day. Obviously with the COVID and the league reconstruction of the league, it's been difficult, but we've just got to go on with it.
Yeah, obviously as well, with the couple of times we've had you on the show, we spoke about the kind of stadium and the progression with that. It is progressing really well since the last time we spoke. Yeah,
stadium is progressing. Now pitch has been laid, floodlights are up, barriers round, the infrastructure of the pavilions getting built. We're obviously in a situation, it's well documented now that the situation slightly changed, that we were obviously going into partnership with the council, investing in it, but the money we had got from it, the sale Adamsley, that changed for whatever reason. So we are now got to submit a business plan, which we're currently doing, and we've got our money in the bank, which will also help fund our leasing costs. And we're looking to get a 25-year lease on the stadium, with probably an option to maybe extend that, an option to take it over full time at some point. But first and foremost, we want to get the lease in. I think everybody, whether you get Rob Roy at heart or not, or just a general footballer, I think that's what we deserve. Yeah. I think the club deserves it, to be back in the community, and I really think if they get that, then I think Rob Roy is a massive club for me. I don't care what anybody thinks, that Rob Roy is a massive club, and things are really working in the background now. We've improved the infrastructure with our media side and fundraisers and improvement of kit, and it's all things geared up to going to the new stadium. So it looks it's getting brighter for Rob Roy. The storm cloud sort of not as heavy as it was on us, but we just need that final pass to get us back home in a decade out of Kirkintilloch.
Yeah.
But as we know, as we spoke before, and I've probably bored myself with as much as ridiculous. So hopefully this is the final hurdle and I can get back home with the ball.
Yeah, here's hoping. Final question before we wrap up. What's the overall target? What would you be happy with kind of this time next year?
I think you can rewind back to last year and just stay up. But of course, like I say, we are realistic, but we've got to aim high. We've got to try and get as high as we can. I don't think MD would have predicted to finish joint 8th, 9th, whatever it was last year, but we finished and ended up. I don't think MD would have said that, especially after a start. So, but at the same time, as I always say to players, don't be a one-season wonder. You've got to build on what we did last year, staying in a tough league and with 7 going down. So we've got to try and stay in the league's realistic, and I think that's got to be our target. But knowing our capabilities within the squad, we've retained probably 90% of it. I think within their targets as well, they'll be looking to try and get higher again. But as you reiterate what you said there, it's a really, really tough league again, and the quality, some of the players that come into the high end budget teams is really making an exciting league, and the 3 teams have come up have all got good squads as well, and any teams that are in the middle are all so it's tough. But I think for my ambitions are stabilise, then we'll take it from there. But let's try and have a better start than we had last year. Yeah. Make my stress levels better anyway.
Absolute pleasure as always, Stuart, and best of luck for the season ahead.
Thanks, Scott. Take care.